With fibro, the cytokine-chemokine system is dysregulated, which means our anti-inflammatory system is out of whack. People with fibromyalgia are genetically susceptible to this dysregulation, which may explain why fibro can run in families. The genetic susceptibility doesn't always actually lead to fibro. Usually some sort of triggering event is required, like a physical or emotional trauma, an infection, or surgery. If you have fibromyalgia, you probably have already heard about the FMA test. It's a simple fibromyalgia blood test that can provide a diagnosis of fibro. I put a link to the FMA site if you're interested and would like more information about it. Over 20 million Americans have taken the test, and there's a 99% accuracy rate. So I'd say you have a good chance of getting the correct diagnosis because no blood test is 100% accurate. I just did a video on the immunodeficiency in fibro, so please take a look at that one. But I wanted to go into this a little bit deeper. Epigenetics Incorporated has concluded since about 2013 that fibro has a cytokine-chemokine dysregulation. Researchers have been on the bandwagon to figure this out, hence my last video on whether fibro is an autoimmune condition or not. Because of the relationship between COVID-19 infections and cytokines, epigenetics is also running an antibody test for the SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19, at no additional cost when you get your test completed. Some early evidence indicates that because of this cytokine dysregulation, people who test positive for fibro on the FMA test actually have a lower incidence of cytokine storm complications compared to the general population of those with COVID-19. Therefore, epigenetics is looking into this a little more thoroughly so we'll understand it better. What does this mean to me? Well, when a person gets COVID-19, a cytokine storm can occur in their body, resulting in mortality. This occurs because of an excessive production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So targeting those cytokines is what improves survival rates. As a reminder, cytokines are small proteins that control how other immune system cells and blood cells grow. They help the body's immune system and our inflammatory response. These cytokines are very important and under normal conditions are needed in the body. Well, in fibro, our cytokine storm is considered lower than those individuals with COVID. That doesn't mean that we don't have a cytokine storm happening, but it is not at the same rate that someone with COVID could have that would lead them to getting pneumonia or respiratory distress. But we do experience headache, muscle ache, and the feeling sometimes like we have the flu, among other symptoms. This epigenetic study was conducted on fibromyalgia patients, which included individuals with fibro and COVID. I put a link to their study, but here's a quote from that study. Individuals with an FMA positive test of fibromyalgia have a reduced ability to produce IL-6 and IL-8, which play a significant role in the cytokine storm complications associated with COVID-19 infections. When screened for evidence of past COVID-19 infections, these patients experienced an extremely low incidence of COVID-19 infections based upon antibody tests. There were no mortalities, and the level of morbidity was significantly below what has been reported in general populations. Oh, and in case you were wondering, the IL in IL-6 and IL-8 stands for interleukin. These are pro-inflammatory cytokines, meaning they cause inflammation, that also act as an inflammatory myokine, which can be found in muscle fibers, and produce IL-8, which is also an inflammatory cytokine. So when we exercise, these are released to mediate the health benefits of exercise, but apparently those are a little out of whack in people with fibromyalgia too, which makes me wonder, if you have had COVID, what was your response to the infection? How did your body handle it? Personally, I've managed to not get it, so I can't speak to this from my own perspective. But if you would like to share below, I will read your comments, and maybe you can help bring awareness. Because I don't want you to get the wrong idea that you can't get COVID or that you won't suffer as much as people without COVID. Just understand that it just works differently in our bodies. Morbidities can also play a part in how bad you get COVID. Now about the vaccine for fibro. Precision Vaccinations is in phase 2 of their clinical trial on multi-dosing the BCG vaccination for fibromyalgia. BCG stands for, and I'm probably not going to pronounce this correctly, but Bacillus calmette-guerin. Okay, so there is a vaccination primarily used against tuberculosis or TB. It is mainly administered to infants and children in countries where TB rates are high. It's rarely used here in the US because we have a very low incidence of childhood TB. They are determining if fibro patients can benefit by, quote, increasing immune signaling molecules called cytokines. And to also quote them, they say, the investigators hypothesize that repeat injections of BCG will reduce symptom severity by increasing immune signaling cytokines. And that's my puppies. This one's an instigator, aren't you? They want a treat. So you're gonna behave now? Live science calls cytokines the unsung heroes of the immune system. They're normally the first responder to a pathogenic infection, like how an orchestra works together to create a beautiful sound. You can find Live Science's site in the description below. Cytokines are crucial for a healthy immune system, but when you have too many cytokines, that's when they call it a cytokine storm. They state it's kind of like a Wi-Fi signal. They respond when they're needed, and nearly every organ in the body has cytokine receptors. They have a video you can find in the link below that really helps to understand how they work. I hope you watch it. It's pretty cool and helps to make sense of all of this. It covers the blood-brain barrier and COVID-19. It's why we notice inflammation in the tissue of the skin that's been damaged, like when you accidentally cut your skin and you notice redness around it. It's the cytokines at work. They direct attention to brain cells to release chemicals that tell our body that we're sick and need rest. So you see, cytokines aren't bad. We need them. They normally move slowly because when we get too many cytokines at one time, damage to the body can occur. Too many and the body is overwhelmed and a cytokine storm develops. When cytokines are released the right way, healing is promoted through inflammation. I hope you found this information helpful and encouraging. There are things happening in the world of research on fibromyalgia, and that's a good thing. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can get the word out. I have so much more to come. I send tender hugs and blessings your way. Happy Valentine's Day. Love you. And cytokine dysregulation. People who test, they're determining if fibro patients can benefit. So that's exciting because